Half a year ago, a generation later, the national goddess was exposed to be pregnant, causing a public uproar. Everyone was speculating who the father of the child was. Half a year later, she appeared in front of Emo with a pair of twins. Emo, who knew nothing, became the father of a pair of national babies and awakened the system. Accompany your baby for an hour and reward a building. Make your baby happy and gain master-level carving skills. In this way, Emo went further and further on the road to becoming a national dad and a super god. Keywords of the novel. Just been blocked by a regretful super queen with her child, no pop-ups, just been blocked by a regretful super queen with her child. Download the complete set of TXT, just been blocked by a regretful super queen with her child. Latest chapter reading. Chapter 1. Super Empress brings children to her door. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 1. Super Empress brings children to her door. Emo, this marriage. I'm not getting married anymore. I know you are a good person, but I don't want to force myself. In my future life, I want to live for myself. A deserted coffee shop. Emo looked at his girlfriend Songjia in front of him with a blank expression. Today was supposed to be a great day for the two to obtain their certificates, but I didn't expect that God would play such a big joke on him. Live for yourself. What a ridiculous reason. If you really don't want to get married, you can break up long ago. Why wait until this time to regret getting married? The dowry has been given and the wedding banquet has been arranged. Actually, he doesn't care about himself, but how can his parents bear all of this? Okay. After a long silence, Emo nodded. Originally, the two met through blind dates and did not have a deep emotional connection. Once you refund the dowry, we won't have much to do with it. A dowry? What dowry? Songjia's face turned cold. Emo was taken aback, and a sudden surge of anger surged in his heart. She not only wants to regret her marriage, but also wants to swallow a dowry of 300,000 yuan. Looking at the delicate and beautiful face in front of him, he suddenly felt a bit nauseous. He never imagined that she was such a vicious person. We talked for half a year, and that little money can be considered as youth compensation. Songjia said coldly. Compensation fee. You're really talking nonsense. Emo clenched his fists tightly, suppressing his anger. Anyway, the money can't be refunded, and I don't have any money either, Songjia said coldly. No money. I gave it to your brother, right? Emo sneered. She also has a younger brother and recently talked about a girlfriend. Songjia did not respond. What your family thinks is quite beautiful, getting 300,000 for free. There's no such good thing in this world. Emo angrily said. His family is not wealthy either. After taking out a loan to buy a house in order to get married, he pieced together this 300,000 yuan dowry. How could it be given to someone else for nothing? Whatever you say. Songjia's face remained indifferent. Okay, I'll see you in court. Emo took a deep breath and shouted. Songjia snorted, lifted the bag beside him, and stood up. She looked at Emo without hiding her disgust. This man, besides his handsome appearance, is simply useless and cannot give her the life she wants. How could she waste her whole life on him? With her beauty, she deserves better. That 300,000 yuan is also what she deserves. She turned her head and was about to leave. At this moment, a tall figure walked over. A slim-fitting black dress, tightly fitting against the body, outlining a graceful and curvy curve, extremely hot, with a pair of exquisite black high heels on the feet, wrapped in a pair of scallion white jade feet, sexy and charming. Wearing a pair of sunglasses and a mask on her face, she couldn't see her face clearly, but from her figure and temperament, it could be seen that she must be a top-notch beauty. Emo looked up and glanced at her, but in the end, his gaze remained in her arms. At this moment, she is holding a pair of babies with both hands, left and right. A man and a woman, looking only a few months old, are particularly cute. Yemo. As he was looking at the babies, the woman stopped in front of him and whispered. Are you? Yemo was stunned for a moment. Why doesn't he remember knowing such a beautiful woman? Come on, call daddy. The woman lowered her head and softly called out to the baby in her arms. Eh. Eh. The two children are too young, they can only make babbling sounds, with a milky and cute voice. Yemo was stunned. Beside him, Song Jia also had a shocked expression and a ghostly expression. This Yemo, surprisingly, has become a father. Or is it for dragon and phoenix fetuses? What's even more incredible is that the mother is still such a beautiful woman. Rich woman. As a woman, she can tell at a glance that the decorations on this woman's body are all valuable top-level luxury goods. This makes no sense at all. This Yemo is very handsome, but his family background and skills are very ordinary. How can he climb such a tall branch? Is she blind? At this moment, Yemo was also puzzled. When did he become a father? How could he not know? Isn't it a new type of scam? It seems you have forgotten, more than a year ago, X-bar. Do you remember, the woman said. Upon careful reflection, Yemo realized that something had happened. More than a year ago, he did meet a beautiful woman at that bar, but at that time he drank a little alcohol and his consciousness was a bit unclear. Later on, he didn't take this seriously either. Are you sure it's mine? Yemo hesitated and said. It's too coincidental to hit the dragon and phoenix twins all at once. Who else can there be besides you? Female Dao. Yemo still has some doubts. Ding, suitable host detected, Shenhao Daddy's system is currently binding. System loading. Congratulations to the host, we have successfully opened the Shenhao Daddy system. We are now distributing a beginner gift pack worth 5 million Chinese coins. Suddenly, a voice rang out in his mind. System. Yemo was pleasantly surprised. He certainly knows what the system is, and since there is a system, it cannot be wrong. It is indeed his child. He stood up excitedly and looked at the dragon and phoenix twins. He actually has children, and he still has both children. This kind of happiness comes a bit too suddenly. And the system. He understands very well what having a system means. This is double happiness. What are the names of both children? He was a bit at a loss, wanting to touch the two children, but also a bit afraid. One is called No-No, and the other is called Jingjing. The woman spoke softly. Okay. It sounds great. Yemo chuckled and said, Can I hug you? Let's go out first before we talk. The woman glanced at Song Jia next to her and said. Okay. Yemo nodded quickly and followed her out. Watching this scene, Song Jia stomped his foot in anger and gritted his teeth. These two people completely ignored her existence. She was even more unwilling. She kicked Yemo with her front foot, and he fell in love with a wealthy woman with her back foot. Is that the clown with her? This feeling is too suffocating. Over there. After leaving the coffee shop, the woman walked towards a car on the street. Ye default to this car, the famous nanny car, the Toyota Alphard. Still a rich woman. He muttered to himself. Entering the car, the woman gently put down the two children, then raised her hand, lifted her mask, took off her sunglasses, and revealed a stunning and exquisite appearance. Yemo fixed his gaze and couldn't help but let out a buzzing sound in his head. He recognizes this face. Su Yuqing. Superstar, queen-level character. She was once famous throughout the country and became a household name, but more than half a year ago, she was suddenly exposed to a large number of scandals and even caught photos of a pregnant woman with a big belly by paparazzi. At that time, everyone was guessing who the father of the child was. Due to these scandals, she retired from the entertainment industry and has no news. At that time, he also ate this melon with relish. I never expected that the child's father would be me. End of this chapter. Chapter 2. Eating soft rice at a young age. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 2. Eating soft rice at a young age. For a long time, Emo never regained consciousness. The woman in front of me, once hailed as the most beautiful and sexy woman in China, is the goddess that countless men dream of. Such a person is actually the mother of his child. It seems you recognize me. Su Yuqing pursed her lips and smiled. Her facial features are very delicate, without any flaws. Her plump red lips, a perky Cheong nose, and those deep and hazy Danfang eyes are flawless in every aspect. She wore light makeup and a pair of sparkling diamond earrings, which made her look more fashionable and charming. Of course I do. Emo smiled bitterly. Who wouldn't recognize a dazzling superstar like her? That's good, I don't need to introduce myself anymore. Su Yuqing raised her hand and twisted her hair. She was born delicate, with a proud and fiery figure. A slight movement could reveal a charming charm. As for you, I have also learned some. As she spoke, she lifted her gaze lightly and gazed at the young man in front of her. He has a handsome face, which is not inferior to some celebrity idols. This was also one of the reasons why she was tempted that night. Emo nodded. She appeared at the coffee shop today, it's definitely not a coincidence. With her financial resources, it's easy to find someone to check her situation. Why are you looking for me? Emo hesitated for a moment before asking. The encounter that night was just an accident. She was a high-profile celebrity, while he was just an ordinary person. She didn't need to give birth to these children, let alone come to find him. I don't want my child to have a father. Su Yuqing murmured. She also hesitated and wanted to raise her child alone, but after much consideration, she still felt that the child couldn't live without a father. She wants to give her child a more healthy childhood. In the future, you can come and see them more, accompany them, and help take care of them when I am busy with work. She reached out and gently touched the cheeks of the two children, her face full of love. If you have any financial difficulties, you can tell me, it's also for the sake of the child. As she spoke, she looked up at Emo. No need. Emo quickly shook his head. Eating soft rice may be good, but it's not necessary. With his appearance, if he wants to eat soft food, he has already eaten it. Why wait until now? Besides, he now has a system and doesn't need any money. She smiled and didn't say much. Uncle Dong, let's go. Hey. The driver responded, turned around, and looked at Emo with a clear expression of envy and jealousy. Young man, it's okay. Eating soft rice at a young age. Emo can understand his meaning. Who's eating soft food? He muttered to himself and turned his gaze to the child. Can I hug you? He is a bit nervous. Su Yuqing nodded, picked up the male treasure, and carefully handed it over. At the moment of receiving the child, Emo was so excited that his hands and feet trembled slightly. The child in his arms didn't make a fuss, just widened a pair of dark eyes and looked at him curiously. Emo couldn't help but laugh. Watching the child's cute appearance, he felt his heart melt. His name is No, right? Su Yino. Her name is Su Jing, said Su Yuqing, picking up the female treasure again and handing it over. Emo took it and smiled even happier. He doesn't care about the child's surname, after all, the child was born by someone else and he hasn't taken care of her. No, be good. Quietly beautiful, growing up must be a beautiful woman. He looked left and right, laughing uncontrollably. Ding. System task triggered. As long as the host accompanies the child for an hour, they can receive a random reward. At this moment, the sound of the system rings in the heart. This is good. Emo felt a burst of joy. As long as you accompany your child, you can complete tasks. This system is really user-friendly. On the side, Su Yuqing looked at him and smiled slightly. This man named Emo will be a good father. The car drove smoothly and after more than 20 minutes, it entered a high-end residential area. I got off the car, took the elevator directly, and arrived at the highest floor. What flavor? As soon as Emo stepped out of the elevator, he smelled a foul odor. Upon closer inspection, it is the male treasure on the left. Hurry up, change his diaper. Su Yuqing quickly opened the door and found a diaper. After changing the diaper, the man was crying incessantly, so she had to hold him and coax him for a while. As soon as he calmed down, the woman started making trouble again, causing her to feel flustered. I'll do it. Emo hugged Nu Bao and comforted her for a while, but she didn't quiet down. I'm hungry. Su Yuqing said. Hungry. So. What does she eat? Emo was taken aback. Drink milk. Su Yuqing took the child from his arms and instinctively untied her collar, revealing a hint of whiteness. Then, she woke up in shock, blushed instantly, and turned around holding the child. Emo also had a big red face. Although the two have children, they are not familiar with each other, and such a scene is undoubtedly somewhat awkward. What a great figure. Thinking about his recent glance, he felt a bit restless. Her figure was already known for her excellent figure, with perfect long legs and an impressive upper circumference, giving her the nickname of a devil's figure. After giving birth, her originally proud curves seemed to be even fuller. To ease the embarrassment, he picked up the boy and sat down. Seeing toys in the living room, he brought them over to play with the boy. After a while, Su Yuqing finished feeding the female treasure and continued to feed the male treasure. Hard work. Seeing her tired face, Emo felt a little heartbroken. Got used to it. Su Yuqing smiled and said, actually, it's okay. I usually have a nanny to take care of me and my child, and it's not very tiring. After a while, I'll have to go to work and rely on her and you to take care of our child. No problem. Emo hurriedly said. If it were in the past, he was just a hard-working programmer who didn't have time to take care of the children, but now that he has a system, he naturally has time. Ding. Task completed, start drawing random rewards. Congratulations to the host for obtaining a 5% stake in NetEase Group. After a while, the system sound rang again. Upon hearing this, Emo couldn't help but be stunned. NetEase. Isn't it the company he works for? 5%. Hiss. He took a cold breath on the spot. The market value of the entire group exceeds 100 billion yuan, and if it is 5%, it is also worth several billion yuan. In the blink of an eye, he became a billionaire. It's just shares, we can't monetize it for now. He quickly calmed down. He seems to have a high net worth now, but he only has 5 million yuan on hand. If he pays off his mortgage, there won't be much left. After waiting for a while longer, Su Yuqing comforted the two babies before leaving. As he walked out of the community, he took a deep breath and felt that his mood had changed. Starting from today, he will be the father of a pair of children. While excited, he also feels a heavy sense of responsibility. Legitimate planning for the future. My phone rings. Hello. Mom. He answered the phone. Son. What's going on? Jia just called and said, you have a woman outside, you have children, and she even said you're not getting married anymore. Isn't that true? Her mother's anxious voice came from the other end of the phone. End of this chapter. Chapter 3 Emo. Am I a scumbag? You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 3 Emo. Am I a scumbag? On the other end of the phone, Ye's mother was extremely anxious. The wedding date has been set, and today is also the day for the young couple to obtain their certificates. However, such an unexpected event happened suddenly. How can she not be in a hurry? Give me the phone. You stinky kid, you're itching, aren't you? How dare you do such a damn thing? Ye's father snatched the phone and angrily cursed. Dad, Mom, it's not what you think. Yi Mo explained. You said, is it true about the child? Father Yi sternly questioned. There are children. Yi Mo said helplessly. Okay. You bastard. You're going to lose face in our family. Father Yi was heartbroken. This matter is going to spread, their family will be laughed at. Dad, listen to me explain. Yi Mo patiently advised. Listen to him, I don't think my son is like that kind of person either, said Yi Mu. Yi Mo immediately recounted the process of the incident. As for Su Yuqing's identity, he concealed it. Is that really the case? Father Yi still has some disbelief. I believe in my son. Ye's mother firmly stood on Yi Mo's side. Their family is really shameless. After careful consideration, Ye's father became somewhat convinced. Son, no matter what, the dowry money must be recovered. Also, you just said, there are 2 children, 1 male and 1 female. Is that true? Who is the mother of the child? When will she bring it back and show us? Father Ye's tone became somewhat excited. He has long wanted to have a grandson, and now he is still a pair of twins, just thinking about it is beautiful. Mom and Dad, this is not urgent. I will definitely bring it back to show you. Yi Mo comforted them and hung up the phone. Upon returning home, Yi Mo carefully studied the system. He found that the system was callable and had a semi-transparent interface with its properties. Yi Mo, Novice Dad, Junior God Hero, Wealth Value. 8. Ability Value. 0. On the Wealth Value corner, a line of small characters is marked, with a maximum score of 99 points. There is also the Ability Value column, which is the same, with the highest being 99. He thinks that this should be like upgrading in the game, and it will gradually improve in the future. Asset. Deposit of 5 million yuan, 1 residential room in Tianshui Yayuan, 5% stake in Wanyi Group, debt. 3.24 million. Click on the wealth value and 2 lines of large characters will appear. Debt. It should be a mortgage. I own 5% of the shares in NetEase, which are worth billions. Why is my wealth still so low, only at level 8? Does the stock seem to be less valuable in the system? Click on the ability value column again, there is nothing. After studying for a while, he fell into a deep sleep. The next morning, he rushed to work as usual. He plans to submit his resignation today and spend a few days handing over the work, so that he can focus on taking care of his 2 babies in the future. As soon as he entered the company, he realized that the atmosphere was not right. His colleagues in the past were pointing and whispering to him. I really didn't see that he was such a person. Disgusting. I already saw it, man. You're all scumbags. Besides, he's so handsome, he looks like a playboy at first glance. Especially those female colleagues, each with a disdainful expression. Yi Mo frowned and vaguely guessed something. He ignored it and walked straight to his workstation. I usually see him as quite serious, but I didn't expect him to play like this. Isn't his girlfriend quite beautiful? I've seen her before, she's still a little model. Now it's over, the marriage is ruined. Occasionally, cold words come from left and right. Yi Mo. Suddenly, a man walked into the office and walked towards Yi Mo. In an instant, everyone in the office room lifted their heads, and many of them had expressions of schadenfreude and watching the show. Yi Mo stood up. This person's name is Gao Chang and he is his supervisor. He is about to go to the other party to submit his resignation. Yemo, look at what you've done. You've disgraced the company. The person approached and threw a stack of paper, slamming it hard onto the table. Upon seeing them, Yemo saw that they were all screenshots from the internet, all about his infidelity, completely portraying him as a scumbag who cheated out of his heart and committed heinous crimes. No need to think, it must be that woman Song Jia did it. He clenched his fist and a surge of anger surged in his heart. This woman, deceiving him is not enough. Now she still wants to slander him and ruin his reputation. It's really malicious. These are all fake. He said in a deep voice. Fake. Haha. Who believes it? Gao Chang raised his hand and pushed his glasses, sneering coldly. Yemo's girlfriend, he has heard of it, is a serious girl who is also beautiful. Both of them are getting married soon. If such a thing hadn't happened, how could she have gone online to complain? Yemo, I didn't expect you to be such a person. Your actions have seriously affected the company's image. I have discussed with the HR supervisor and will dismiss you immediately. You can pack your things now and get lost. Gao Chang waved his hand and shouted loudly. He felt a dark pleasure in his heart. This Yemo, he had already looked displeased. He was more handsome than him and more popular in the company. I used to confront him before and was very disobedient, but now I finally have him holding on to me. Yemo squinted his eyes. This matter has not been investigated yet, and the company will not dismiss him casually. It must be this guy seeking personal revenge. It's not you who fired me, it's me resigning myself. You don't have to wait for this place. He picked up his resignation from the table and threw it fiercely. Pop. A crisp sound. The resignation letter hit the other person in the face. The once bustling office suddenly fell silent. You. After a moment of silence, he let out a strong roar and his face turned red, becoming somewhat ferocious. Open your dog's eyes wide and see, this is a resignation letter. It's because I quit. Yemo rolled his eyes. He originally wanted to resign politely, but now it seems unnecessary. Okay. Great. I think in the future, which company will want you as a scumbag? Gao Chang clenched the resignation letter and said in a grimace. He can guarantee that no internet company will want this guy from today on. That would be even better. Yemo picked up his bag and was about to leave. At this moment, his phone rang. It's a strange phone number. Hello Mr. Yi, I am the secretary of the CEO's office at NetEase. I am calling on behalf of Mr. Ding to congratulate you on becoming the third largest shareholder of our group. The president's office. Yemo was taken aback. Mr. Yi, when are you free? I'll visit you. Oh. I'm available now, I'm right in your NetEase building. Yemo reported the location of the office. On the other end of the phone, there was a moment of silence, obviously surprised. Okay. Mr. Yi, please wait, I'll come see you right away. The phone hung up quickly. What's going on? On the side, Gao Chang felt a bit strange. Why did this guy suddenly stop leaving? Also, what was mentioned earlier about the CEO's office? Is he going to appeal to the CEO's office? Humph, dream it. Even if you appeal, the result will still be the same. He sneered but didn't care. After waiting for a while, someone came in from outside, walking a bit hastily. Gao Chang fixed his eyes and saw that it was really Secretary Su from the CEO's office. End of this chapter. Chapter 4. Mr. Yi and Mr. Ding, please hold a shareholder meeting. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 4. Mr. Yi and Mr. Ding, please hold a shareholder meeting. Secretary Su, why are you here? Gao Chang ran all the way and welcomed him. This Secretary Su is someone around Mr. Ding. Find someone. Secretary Sue looked up and scanned left and right. Are you here for this YMO? Secretary Sue, you don't know how outrageous his actions have been, which has seriously affected our company's reputation. It's not a problem to dismiss him. Strong righteousness and authentic language. YMO. Yes. I came here for Mr. Yi. Wait, what's the reason for dismissal? Secretary Sue was taken aback and said in surprise. Don't you know? His affair has caused a lot of trouble online, and the impact is very bad. High Strength Road. What a mess. Secretary Sue lowered his face and rebuked, I was commissioned by Mr. Ding to invite Mr. Yi to the next shareholders meeting. What? What? With a strong shock, I felt a bit confused. Shareholders meeting. That guy YMO is just an ordinary employee, who is qualified to attend any shareholder meeting. There was also a commotion in the office room. Everyone looked puzzled. Sue. Secretary Sue, did you make a mistake? Gao Chang regained consciousness and hesitated. There's nothing wrong, I just contacted him and he's right here. Secretary Sue scanned his eyes and followed the gaze of everyone around him to see YMO not far away. Mr. Yi. He shouted. It's me. YMO nodded. Oh my. Mr. Yi, I'm really sorry for neglecting you. I didn't expect you to be an employee of our company, what a coincidence. Secretary Sue laughed heartily and quickly stepped forward, warmly holding YMO's hand. Watching this scene, everyone around was stunned. What's going on here? Isn't this YMO just an ordinary employee? How could the CEO treat him so politely? Even invite him to attend the shareholder meeting? Secretary Sue, this. Stuttering with high strength makes it difficult to speak fluently. You don't know yet, Mr. Yi just acquired 5% of our group's shares and became the third largest shareholder. Secretary Sue smiled and spoke out to everyone. As soon as the words fell, everyone's expressions froze again. 5% of the shares. Isn't that a few tens of billions? This ordinary YMO is actually a hidden billionaire. In an instant, everyone's heads were buzzing with excitement, completely unbelievable. The high strength was even more petrified, and his face gradually turned pale. He actually wants to fire a billionaire, the third largest shareholder of the company. Isn't he seeking death? Mr. Yi, have you encountered any trouble? Secretary Sue looked around and said again. It's nothing, it's just resignation, YMO said calmly. Oh. That's a pity. Secretary Sue also did not persuade him to stay. This is clearly a wealthy second generation who came out to experience life, how could he stay in the company all the time? Mr. Yi, please. Let's go up and say. Secretary Sue bowed and respectfully led YMO out. In the office, there was a moment of silence, followed by a deafening commotion. I didn't even notice that he was a billionaire. He used to chat with me before, but now thinking about it, I regret it so much. I feel like I missed out on hundreds of millions. No one cared about those rumors anymore, and now they only regret missing an opportunity to be friends with billionaires. After going to the CEO's office and chatting with Secretary Sue, YMO left. He is not interested in any shareholder meetings. As he walked out of the building, he felt relaxed all over. After resigning from his job, he can focus on taking care of his 2 babies. When he thought of 2 children, his heart felt warm and he wished he could fly over and hug them immediately. There don't seem to be many diapers left, we need to go buy some. I still don't know how to take care of my baby, so I need to study hard. He didn't rush over either, but instead found a nearby bookstore, flipped through parenting books, and learned how to take care of the baby. Then, he went to a baby supplies store. As soon as he entered the store, he was dazzled by the variety of diapers, milk powder, toys, bottles, and a dazzling array of options. He didn't even know how to choose. Choosing expensive ones is definitely right. He took a cart and picked out the most expensive ones. Sir, these 2 sets of clothes are different from yours. This is for the baby girl. When checking out, the shop assistant reminds you carefully. I'm 2 kids. Yemo is quite proud and authentic. 2. Dragon and Phoenix twins. The shop assistant was taken aback and looked amazed. Young man, you're amazing. The people next to them immediately turned their heads, and an ant envied them. Dragon and Phoenix twins are even rarer than twins. That kid from my family, he's so bad. He gave birth to a son, and I want to hold a granddaughter. Children are perfect. Perfect. A group of aunties chattered excitedly and discussed. Even some young couples cast envious glances at Yemo. After settling the bill, Yemo rushed to Su Yuqing's house, carrying large and small bags. Are you Aunt Yun? The person who opened the door was a kind-hearted middle-aged woman wearing an apron, probably the nanny that Su Yuqing mentioned yesterday. Mr. Yi. Aunt Yun politely called out. Why did you bring so many things? I'll help you. She took a few bags from Yemo's hand and entered the room. I spent a lot of money. Su Yuqing walked over from the living room with her child in her arms. She didn't dress up and casually wore a silk nightgown. The quality of the nightgown was soft and thin, unable to conceal her proud figure at all. It was stretched out with full curves in both front and back, and the collar was slightly lower, revealing some snowy grooves. Her hair was slightly disheveled, but it didn't affect her beauty at all. Yemo looked a bit dazed. When I used to watch her on the screen, I thought she was already beautiful enough, unparalleled in beauty and brilliance. Now she seems to be a bit more beautiful than before, and also has a bit more mature charm. Every move exudes a deadly temptation. No, I just bought some casually. He quickly regained his senses and placed the things in his hand on the nearby cabinet. So many, it's still called casual. Su Yuqing walked over and whispered, why are there still toys? These clothes are a bit too big, right? Isn't this something I'll wear in the future? I'll buy it for now. Yemo smiled and said. That's right. You're quite careful. Su Yuqing chuckled lightly and said, however, there's no need to buy it in the future. You can save some time. Didn't you just buy a house? You still have to pay off the mortgage. This little money, it's okay. Yemo said. You sit down first, and after I feed the baby, I'll give you a hug. After Su Yuqing finished speaking, she turned around and walked into the room. Looking from behind, her figure was very tall, with a knife-like fragrant shoulder and a water snake waist that was tightly gripped. Her plump buttocks were wrapped in a pajama, forming a round arc. As she walked, there were slight waves. A pair of straight and beautiful legs, even more astonishingly long. Yemo glanced at it, feeling a bit overwhelmed. He quickly lowered his head and began organizing his belongings. End of this chapter. Chapter 5. Yemo massages babies. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 5. Yemo massages babies, let me wash it. In the kitchen, Aunt Yun snatched the bowl from Yemo's hand. It's okay, I'll wash it. Yemo snatched it back. He felt a bit awkward sitting there, so he came to find some household chores to do. You young man, not only handsome, but also hard-working. Aunt Yun smiled and praised repeatedly. At first, she had a strong opinion of her child's father, thinking he was a heartless scumbag, which led to Miss Su giving birth alone. Later, when she heard Miss Su say that the father was completely unaware of the existence of the child, she changed her mind slightly. I saw it today and it has changed a lot. This young man is not only handsome, but also not inferior to those celebrity fresh meat. He is also kind. No wonder big stars like Miss Su also take a liking to him. After washing the dishes and mopping the floor, Su Yuqing had already finished feeding the baby. Yi Mo took it over and held it one by one. "Aunt Yun, go and take out the things for the baby's bath." Su Yuqing sat down and rested for a while before getting busy again. She took out a bathtub, filled it with water, prepared towels, and some baby bathing supplies. "I'll do it." Yi Mo quickly stood up. "Do you know how to do it?" Su Yuqing was taken aback. "Can I learn? I also need to wash myself in the future," Yi Mo smiled. Su Yuqing hesitated for a moment and nodded. "Look at the water temperature, be sure to pay attention. 38 degrees is the best. Also, the doors and windows should be tightly closed and there should be no wind, otherwise the baby will easily catch a cold." She reached out to test the water temperature and whispered. "When it comes to towels, you should also choose this type, which is softer and most suitable for babies. This is specifically for washing babies' hair, and this is for washing their bodies." Yi Mo listened attentively. Ding! The system task is triggered to give the baby a bath and obtain the skill. Massage technique. Suddenly, the sound of the system rang out. Massage technique. It's great, you can give the baby a massage. Yi Moxin's next happiness. He has just learned a lot of parenting knowledge and knows that babies also need massage, which has many benefits. Let's wash No first. After the explanation, Su Yuqing brought a male treasure. The male treasure is a bit mischievous and restless. As soon as he gets into the water, he starts to pounce. Yi Mo picked up a towel and carefully scrubbed it for him. After washing, he used a dry towel to dry the baby. Ding! Task completed, acquire skill. Massage technique. After receiving the system prompt, Yi Mo immediately opened the attribute interface. The originally blank ability column has added a massage technique. Moreover, the word beginner is also marked at the back. Beginner, proficient, master, extraordinary. With just a few words for beginners, you can see a detailed classification of grades. Do you have any essential oils at home for massaging babies? He looked at Su Yuqing and asked. Essential oils. Yes, there are, but. Su Yuqing was taken aback. She bought essential oils before and also wanted to massage the baby, but the baby seemed to dislike it and kept crying, so she never pressed it again. Do you know how to do it? I have learned a little. Yi Mo nodded. Su Yuqing was skeptical and went to get a bottle of baby essential oil. No doesn't seem to like massages, he was particularly resistant before. Watching Yi Mo get started and prepare to massage the baby, she shook her head and said. She felt that this time it would be the same. But then, a scene that surprised her appeared, and the baby did not resist at all. Instead, he stretched his hands and feet, showing a very enjoyable expression. This. She opened her mouth and looked more and more shocked. This craftsmanship is also too impressive, too skilled. All right. After pressing for about 10 minutes, Yi Mo stopped and dried the baby's body. Where did you learn it? Su Yuqing exclaimed, feeling somewhat incredulous. His technique is completely professional, even more powerful than a doctor. I learned it online. Yi Mo smiled and said. Then, he took a bath and gave the girl a massage. Amazing. Aunt Yun also came to watch and was amazed. Perhaps being pressed too comfortably, the two babies quickly fell asleep. The more you should use this skill, the more proficient you will become and continuously improve. It is estimated that other skills will also be similar. Yi Mo opened the system interface again and took a look. As long as you interact with your baby, you will unlock more skills in the future, and these skills can continue to improve. However, the entry level is already so powerful, isn't the effect at the master level and extraordinary level incredible? Massage technique. It seems that not only can you massage the baby. Suddenly, He thought of something and glanced at Su Yuqing beside him. His gaze swept over the hot and sexy figure, and his mind couldn't help but flutter. Immediately, he quickly averted his gaze. This figure is really amazing. Although I have just given birth, I haven't taken any shape at all. Instead, I am more round and mature. After waiting a little longer, he got up and left. Gold medal law firm. After lunch, he found a law firm. That 300,000 dowry, he must take it back. To file a lawsuit, you need to hire a good lawyer. Hello, sir. May I ask what service you need? The decoration of the law firm is quite luxurious. As soon as you enter the door, the beautiful and dignified front desk stands up and warmly welcomes you. I want to hire a lawyer and file a lawsuit. Yemo said. May I ask what type is it? Is it criminal or civil? Civil matters, right? Yemo briefly explained the matter of the dowry. Okay, sir, please wait a moment and I will recommend a suitable lawyer for you later. The front desk smiled slightly and asked him to sit down on the nearby sofa. Yemo looked at the time and it was only 1:30. It's possible that the lawyer hasn't even started working yet. He sat down and patiently waited. After a while, the sound of high heels came from the entrance. A middle-aged woman dressed delicately and with a capable demeanor walked in. Lawyer Lee. The front desk called out to her. New clients. What lawsuit? The middle-aged woman walked over and asked. A dowry dispute. At the next moment, her eyebrows furrowed, revealing a hint of disdain. This kind of lawsuit is not very challenging. Moreover, the dowry amount is only 300,000 yuan, and at first glance, it doesn't seem like a wealthy person, there's no profit involved. It's him, right? She looked up towards Yemo. Squinting her eyes, she scrutinized up and down, shaking her head slightly with a look of disgust in her eyes. This guy's whole body combined may not exceed 500 yuan, especially that low-quality suit, Xiaoyan. In the future, don't come to me for this kind of big sesame seed lawsuit, okay? Don't you take a look, what qualifications do I have? Will I take on this kind of small lawsuit? Which lawsuit I take on is not involving millions, tens of millions of assets. She raised her face and spoke in a sharp voice. This kind of lawsuit, you have to find new people. Lawyer Lee, I'm sorry. The front desk apologized hastily. Seeing this, Yemo frowned. Lawyer Lee, his airs are a bit too big. Look, isn't the newcomer here? It's best to leave this small case to her. The middle-aged woman was about to leave when she saw a figure appearing at the door. She immediately rolled her eyes and said in a somewhat sinister tone. Dada. Accompanied by the crisp sound of high heels stepping on the ground, a beautiful figure appeared at the door. She is about 1.7 meters tall, with a tall and slender figure, dressed in standard professional attire and a hip-wrapped skirt, perfectly showcasing her graceful curves. On her slender legs, she was wrapped in black stockings, adding a touch of sexiness and temptation. Her appearance is extremely beautiful, with a beautiful melon seed face, cherry lips, and a pair of bright and divine eyes under the curved willow eyebrows. On her slender cheong nose, she wore a pair of gold-framed glasses, which gave her a touch of intelligence and an elegant temperament. End of this chapter. Chapter 6. Yemo, are you a billionaire? You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 6. Yemo, are you a billionaire? Lawyer Fu, you came just in time. Here is a case that suits you perfectly. Lawyer Lee spoke in a sharp voice. She looked at the beautiful woman walking towards her, with an irresistible jealousy in her eyes. This new talent has been at the law firm for less than half a year and has been filing several beautiful lawsuits, gaining a lot of attention. Combined with her outstanding appearance, the group of old men in the law firm were so mesmerized that they were like fox spirits. It's Sister Lee. Fu Siwei smiled slightly and walked over. What lawsuit? In the dowry dispute, the woman received 300,000 dowries but refused to get married, lawyer Li said. Look at this lawsuit, isn't it quite simple? It's most suitable for a newcomer like you to handle it. 300,000. Fu Siwei was surprised and said, there are quite a few. Is it too much? It's only 300,000 yuan. Lawyer Li pouted and sneered, getting married now, 300,000 yuan dowry is really not much. My niece got married a while ago, and the man gave him 880,000 yuan. I'll give you this case. The person is there. She pointed at Yi Mo and shouted. Well. Okay. Anyway, I've been quite free lately. Fu Siwei hesitated for a moment before nodding. Lawyer Li raised his head and showed a somewhat victorious posture. Mr. Yi, right. Fu Siwei smiled politely and walked towards Yi Mo. Yi Mo stood up, reached out his hand, and shook hands with her, saying, Master Fu, don't you remember me? Fu Siwei was taken aback and said, do you recognize me? I am Yi Mo. Oh. It's you. Fu Siwei recalled for a moment and whispered. She remembered that she was a high school classmate and a former class monitor. Sorry, I didn't recognize it all at once, she apologized. It's okay. Yi Mo smiled and said. It's been 7 or 8 years since graduating from high school, and both of them have changed a lot. It's normal not to recognize each other. Yo. I'm still an old classmate, that's perfect. Lawyer Li smiled on the side. This time, this person surnamed Fu must be accepted. What's going on with this lawsuit? Why have we given all the dowry and decided not to get married? Fu Siwei sat down and said solemnly. I didn't expect that it was supposed to be okay, the wedding date was already set, and she was about to get a certificate. Suddenly, she regretted getting married. Yi Mo introduced the situation. This is too much. Yi Mo, don't worry, I will definitely help you win this lawsuit. Her behavior is illegal, and the law supports you to get back all the dowry. Fu Siwei exclaimed indignantly. That's good. Please do it. Yi Mo is polite and down-to-earth. We're all old classmates now, so there's no need to be so polite. Fu Siwei smiled. By the way, do you understand legal knowledge such as stocks and companies? At this moment, Yi Mo thought of something and suddenly asked. Understood. What's wrong? Fu Siwei was taken aback. It's like this, I recently bought some stocks, but I'm not very familiar with them. I want to find a private lawyer to help me deal with legal issues in this area in the future, Yi Mo said. Ah. Fu Siwei was stunned for a moment and chuckled. Haha. Even a private lawyer. On the side, Lawyer Li also smiled, as if he had heard some big joke. Private lawyer. That's not something that ordinary people can afford, the cost is extremely high. Just this guy, the dowry is only 300,000 yuan. At first glance, it seems like he has no money, just a loser. Where did he get the money to hire a private lawyer? It's not a joke. I'm afraid it's not in front of a beautiful woman, just slapping her face and pretending to be fat. Yi Mo, private lawyers are very expensive, so you don't need to. If you have any questions in the future, you can come and consult me. For the sake of your old classmates, I will give you a 20% discount on the consultation fee. Fu Siwei smiled. By the way, what stocks did you buy? Did they rise? I don't know if the price of NetEase has risen or not. Are you not even looking? How many shares did you buy? When talking about the rise and fall of stocks, Fu Siwei became enthusiastic. 5%. Yi Mo said. Oh. 5%. Fu Siwei nodded. Immediately, her face froze and she realized something was wrong. At the next moment, her beautiful eyes suddenly widened and widened into a round and round shape. 5%. She opened her mouth slightly and her lips were trembling. Bang! On the side, Lawyer Lee, who was watching the play, also froze. With a shake of his hand, the steel teacup in his hand fell off. Her eyes also widened, filled with shock and disbelief. You're joking. After a while, Fu Siwei finally regained her composure and said with a bitter smile. NetEase is a large conglomerate with a market value of billions, and if it's 5%, it's worth billions. In her memory, Yimo's family background was very ordinary, and there was even a dowry dispute. She came to sue her for 300,000 yuan. How could she have so much money to buy stocks worth billions of dollars? This sounds really absurd. No. Look, these are the transfer documents for the stocks. Yimo took out his briefcase and found several documents. These documents appeared in his briefcase when he received the shares yesterday. Gollum. Fu Siwei swallowed hard and took it with a trembling hand. Glancing at her, her hands trembled even more violently. No mistake. It is indeed a 5% stake. Looking at the numbers above, she felt dizzy. My former classmate was actually a hidden billionaire. This is also unbelievable. Let me take a look. Lawyer Lee rushed over quickly, retrieved the document, widened his eyes, and carefully scanned it. Then, her figure shook and she almost fainted. A billionaire. She actually missed it. Moreover, he was pushed to this person surnamed Fu. What a sin. Is the file okay? Yimo chuckled lightly. Oh. No. Fu Siwei's face was dazed, but her mind was still deeply shaken. Yimo, why didn't I know before that you were so wealthy? After regaining her senses, she couldn't help but smile bitterly. It used to be difficult to disclose. Yimo said. She let out an exclamation and then began adjusting her sitting posture. Originally, her legs were together, but now she deliberately lifted those beautiful legs and tidied up her clothes and hair, showing an extremely enthusiastic smile on her face. Yimo, although I don't have enough qualifications, my professional knowledge is top-notch, and I can definitely be your personal lawyer. She spoke earnestly on her face. Wait, Mr. Yi, she is still young and lacks qualifications as a lawyer. I am the gold medal lawyer in the firm, more suitable for being your personal lawyer. Lawyer Lee rushed to the side. Is that right? Yimo looked at her. Of course. Lawyer Lee smiled warmly, lifted his hands on the hem of his skirt, pulled it up a few centimeters, and then squeezed his chest, struggling to squeeze out a groove. She felt that although she was old, she still had some beauty and charm. It's better not to bother Lawyer Lee. You're old, she's fine. Yimo examined her up and down and smiled slightly. Hello, old. Lawyer Lee suddenly petrified, and his face gradually rose to a pig liver color. End of this chapter. Chapter 7. Do you have a baby? You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 7. Do you have a baby? Congratulations to Lawyer Fu. Mr. Yi, welcome to become a major client of our gold medal law firm. In the law firm, the atmosphere was filled with joy. Yimo signed the contract, and Fu Siwei officially became his personal lawyer. Next, we will handle some procedures. Alright, wait a few days. Once the official letter and indictment are ready, they can be submitted to the court. I will inform you of the date of the trial. In the office, Fu Siwei sorted out the documents. Yimo looked at her with a hint of emotion. The former high school flower has become her own private lawyer. Over the years, she has changed a lot, become more mature, and more beautiful. Of course, compared to big stars like Su Yuqing, she is still a bit inferior, but she can also be considered top-notch, especially with her intellectual temperament, which is particularly attractive. And that pair of beautiful legs wrapped in stockings added a touch of sexiness to her. It's past 3 o'clock. Do you have any plans later? After looking at the watch in his hand, Fu Siwei said. Buy a car. Yi Mo said. Buying a car. Fu Siwei was taken aback. I used to drive a Jetta, it needs to be changed. Yi Mo smiled. Oh. Fu Siwei suddenly realized. She felt that this old classmate was pretending to be poor and testing his marriage partner before, which was why he had such a performance. If you don't pretend now, you naturally have to switch back to your original life. What car do you want to change to? She asked with a smile. A sports car. Yi Mo shook his head. He did think about changing to a more stylish sports car, but after thinking about it, he felt it was not suitable. He now has children and still has two, so he needs to consider taking them on trips in the future. Besides, he doesn't have much money on hand now, only around 4 million. SUVs. You need more space, he said. Is there a lot of space? Fu Siwei was taken aback, as if she had thought of something, and her pretty face lit up with 2 blushes. He looks quite serious. I didn't expect him to be so good at playing. Yeah. I want to take care of the baby, Yi Mo nodded and said. Ah. Baby. Fu Siwei suddenly froze and looked incredulous. You have a child. Too. Yi Mo smiled and said. Then, he briefly explained. Oh. It's like this. Fu Siwei suddenly felt embarrassed on her face. Just now, her thoughts became impure and she thought of going elsewhere. Although I have a baby, it's just an accident. He hasn't gotten married yet, which doesn't mean I won't have a chance. She pondered to herself, her expression quickly returning to normal. Coincidentally, I'm fine too. Let's go take a look at the car with you. She stood up and enthusiastically said. Okay. After leaving the law firm, the two of them went to visit several car shops. Perhaps because I brought a beautiful woman with me, those salespeople became much more enthusiastic. After making a choice, Yi Mo still chose the Lamborghini Urus. The brand is grand enough and the space is also spacious, with just over 3 million yuan. After buying the car, Yi Mo treated her to a meal. Returning home, it was already past 8 o'clock when my parents called again to inquire about the baby's situation, but he evaded them. I just hung up the phone, but not long after, my phone rang again. Take it up and look, it's Su Yuqing. Aunt Yun's family is busy tonight and she can't help me take care of the baby. I'm a bit tired. Can you come over and help me take care of the baby? Su Yuqing's tone was a bit drowsy. Okay. Yi Mo quickly responded. He got in the car and rushed to Su Yuqing's house. Su Yuqing had just finished breastfeeding, with a tired face and her eyes almost unable to open. You go take a nap. I'll take care of the baby. Yi Mo hugged 2 children and said softly. Okay. She whispered and walked into the bedroom. Yi Mo sat in the living room, looking left and right. The more he looked at the 2 children, the more he liked them. He himself had a high level of beauty, and his mother was a super beautiful woman like Su Yuqing. The 2 children naturally had outstanding looks, like 2 little angels, extremely beautiful. It is estimated that they slept for a long time during the day, and the 2 children were full of energy. With 2 pairs of big black eyes open, they were stunned and didn't feel sleepy at all. Yi Mo had to keep coaxing them and playing with them. Wow! The man suddenly sat down and burst into tears. Then, he smelled a foul odor. Ding! System task triggered, changing baby's diaper, can obtain skill. Manual. The sound of the system rang out accordingly. Handmade. It should be carving or something like that. Yi Mo was taken aback. He went to get a new diaper and operated it according to what he had learned before. Great success. It may seem simple, but in reality, it's not easy to do. It took him a lot of effort to replace it. Ding. Task completed, acquire skill. Manual. Yemo opened the interface again and saw an additional manual logo next to the massage icon. At the same time, he had a lot of knowledge in his mind that he didn't have before, such as carving, weaving, printing and dyeing, sewing, and even embroidery, pottery and other crafts. I can make clothes for babies, and I will make the clothes they wear in the future. He quickly found the purpose of this skill. By the way, you can also shoot short videos and do live broadcasts. Suddenly, a flash of inspiration flashed in his mind. He no longer has a serious job and it's difficult to explain to his parents. He has to find something to do. He didn't put the two children to sleep until after 11 o'clock. He tidied up the living room and went to the laundry room. When he saw the dirty clothes of the baby inside, he was ready to wash them. However, when he picked them up, he saw that there were still some very light and thin clothes with lace inside. This is too fabric efficient. He muttered to himself. After hesitating for a moment, he still washed it together. After washing, draining, and hanging up, he sat down after a busy day. Seeing that there was no movement in the bedroom, he didn't want to disturb the child. He just looked at the child and leaned against the sofa, staying up until early in the morning before falling asleep. The next morning, he was awakened by Su Yuqing. Thank you very much. She has just taken a shower, her hair hasn't dried completely, and there is a pleasant smell of shower gel emanating from her body. That stunning face, illuminated by the living room lights, was shrouded in a hazy glow, breathtaking beauty. She changed into a pajama, her provocative figure faintly visible. Yemo looked a bit dazed and shook his head before finally waking up. It's okay. He yawned and sat up. What do you want to eat? We have dumplings, bread, and buns at home. Su Yuqing wiped her hair with a lazy tone. Let's make dumplings. Yemo said. Okay. Then wait a moment. She responded and walked towards the kitchen, taking out a bag of dumplings from the refrigerator. Did you wash that clothes? She was boiling water when she suddenly asked. Ah. Yes. Yemo hesitated for a moment and looked towards the balcony. There are several thin and light fabrics hanging. She let out a low moan and didn't speak again, but on her delicate face, 2 red clouds quietly rose up. Quickly, 2 plates of dumplings were served on the table. While eating, suddenly her phone rang. It's my dad. When she picked it up, her face changed dramatically. End of this chapter. Chapter 8 Father Su. This young man is not bad. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 8 Father Su. This young man is not bad. My parents are coming. Su Yuqing put down her phone and looked a bit flustered. Yemo's hand trembled with excitement. Now. Yes. He mentioned the entrance to the community. What should we do then? You go quickly. If my dad sees you, it won't be good, Su Yuqing said urgently. Yemo stood up obediently and walked towards the door. He was also a bit panicked. His relationship with Su Yuqing was very special, and he didn't know how to face his father and mother. Hurriedly downstairs, Yemo walked towards his car. Doodle. Just as I pressed the key and started the car, I saw a black Mercedes-Benz sedan coming from the other end of the road. As we approached, the car slowed down and adjusted its angle to park in the parking space. But because the car parked next to it was too close, the sedan couldn't drive in and suddenly stood there, facing a dilemma. Do you need any help? Yemo looked for a while and walked over. As the car window rolled down, Yemo saw a middle-aged couple who were quite wealthy in their attire and temperament. Young man, help me keep an eye on it while I reverse the car. The middle-aged man sitting in the driver's seat smiled at Yemo and shouted. Okay. Yemo nodded. The middle-aged man immediately started the car and fell backwards, but perhaps due to lack of skills, he still couldn't come out. Tell you not to drive, and you won't listen. Middle-aged women keep complaining. The man dared not refute, looking embarrassed. I'll do it. Yemo couldn't bear to watch any more and smiled. Okay, okay. Young man, you come and drive. The middle-aged man was overjoyed and quickly got off the car. After getting in the car, Yemo smoothly parked the car in the parking space. Young man, thank you so much. The middle-aged man walked up and thanked him repeatedly, handing over a pack of cigarettes. I don't smoke. Yemo waved his hand and said, it's just a matter of raising a hand. Young people are too humble. The middle-aged man laughed and put away his cigarette. It's good not to smoke, healthy. That's your car. It's not bad. As he spoke, he glanced at the Lamborghini Urus not far away. Those who can buy this car definitely have a solid foundation. Ah. Yes. Yemo nodded. We're still chatting, come and get something. The middle-aged woman opened the trunk and took out bags of things. Here we go. The middle-aged man hurriedly walked over and picked up something on the ground, but there seemed to be too much, and the two of them couldn't lift it. Yemo shook his head and walked up. Let me help you. Oh my. How embarrassing, said the middle-aged woman with embarrassment. It's okay, isn't it far? Yemo smiled and said. Not far, it's in that building, building 4, said the middle-aged man. Number 4. Yemo was taken aback and let out a thud in his heart. Looking at the things in my hand again, many of them are supplements, as well as some baby products. Oh. That's not far. He quickly calmed down and said calmly. He carried something and followed the two people into the building, delivered it to the elevator, and quickly said goodbye before leaving. Hey. This young man is really nice, handsome and enthusiastic. In the elevator, the man sighed. Yeah. That's a pretty good young man. Look at his car, his family must be very good too. The middle-aged woman sighed, how great it would be if there were such a son.in.law. As she spoke, she let out a deep sigh. Sigh. The man sighed and frowned with sorrow, 2 children. Who wouldn't mind, even if our daughter looks like a fairy, it won't be possible. It will be difficult to find such a good son.in.law in the future. Ah. This child. Asked her not to give birth, but she insisted on giving birth. Just disobedient. When did she hear what we said? She's already giving birth and there's nothing she can do. Alright, it's almost here, don't pull your face. Ding. The elevator has arrived. The two of them carried things and walked out, knocking on the door. Dad, Mom. After a while, the door opened and the person inside was Su Yuqing. Why did it take so long to open the door? Su Mu spoke with some suspicion. Coaxing the baby. Su Yuqing said. Actually, she is checking if there is anything left by Yemo. Mother Su let out an exclamation, but did not raise any doubts. Mom and Dad, why did you bring so many things? Can you carry them? Your mother insisted on buying so much. Fortunately, there was a kind-hearted handsome guy who helped us deliver it to the elevator just now. Otherwise, we wouldn't be able to get it. Su's father walked into the room and smiled. Kind-hearted and handsome young man. Su Yuqing was taken aback. Yeah. Thanks to him, he helped park my car. Besides, he's really handsome and has the style of your father back then, Su Fu smiled. Su Yuqing let out a thud in her heart. They couldn't have bumped into Yemo, could they? He's also driving a Lamborghini, not a sports car, the SUV version. He should also live here, do you know him? Sue's father said again. Lamborghini. That's definitely not Yemo. Yemo is just a small white-collar worker, how can he afford to drive such a luxury car? I don't know you. Su Yuqing shook her head and breathed a sigh of relief in secret. Returning home, Yemo took a shower. He began to seriously consider making short videos and live broadcasts. People always have something to do, and besides, it's also for the sake of 2 babies. Quickly, he made up his mind. We need to find a venue first, and then buy equipment. He searched online to see if there were any handicraft studios that were transferred, and also checked the brands and prices of various related equipment. This is good. There were many studios being transferred, but he found the largest one and contacted them before rushing over. After reading it, he was very satisfied and took it directly. Next, we will purchase various types of equipment and materials. He was busy until the afternoon and finally finished it. First, make a golden object for the baby. He first thought of the long life lock. But after seeing various styles, he was not satisfied, they were too old. Be special, be unique. Dragon and Phoenix. Dragon and Phoenix. By the way, one is a dragon, one is a phoenix. Soon, he had an idea. He took a blank piece of paper and began designing. In no time, 2 drawings were released. It still looks like a traditional long life lock, but one coiled around a 9-clawed golden dragon and the other wrapped around a spreading golden phoenix. Both are lifelike, one powerful and domineering, and the other extremely gorgeous. Not bad. After making some minor modifications to the details, he started making it. When he acquired the skill of handicrafts, he had already mastered various techniques of making gold objects and was quite proficient in making them. He did not use the method of casting a mold, but instead pulled the gold into extremely fine gold threads and woven them together. This is the most complex production process of gold artifacts. At first, his speed was a bit slow, but gradually, he felt that his hand feel became more and more proficient, and his skills made significant progress. He knows that this is an increase in proficiency. He also became more and more energetic, staying up late at night and making the panlong golden lock. He didn't feel sleepy at all, so he continued to make another one. After finishing it, it was already past 4 a.m. Why don't you just finish the video before going to sleep? He drank a few bottles of Red Bull and started editing the video. This is even simpler. It took over 2 hours to complete the editing, and he created a Douyin account and uploaded it. Then he lay down on the sofa and fell into a deep sleep. End of this chapter. What exactly is his background in Chapter 9? You are listening at novelfull.audio. What exactly is his background in Chapter 9? When I woke up, it was already afternoon. Upon opening Douyin, Yemo was startled. 10.5 W fans. Received 30.7 W likes. This data completely surprised him. Although he bought promotion after uploading, the effect was also too strong. When you open the video, there are tens of thousands of comments. It's so beautiful. It's so beautiful. I also want to buy one for my baby. These hands are so powerful. Oh my God. All our praises. Yemo looked at them one by one, feeling a bit proud. After all, the hard work of the night was not in vain. You can also make 2 pairs of bracelets, as well as jade objects, and you can also make some. He was eating takeout, and many thoughts came to his mind. After finishing dinner, my phone rang. As soon as he looked at the number, his brow couldn't help but furrow. It's Song Jia. Yemo, you're really shameless and dare to sue me. As soon as it was connected, Song Jia's cold and angry voice came from across. I said, see you in court. Yemo was also polite and sneered. You. Humph. Do you really think you can win? I've already found the best lawyer, you're sure to lose. Song Jia shouted angrily. Is that right? That's all you have to say? Yi Mo sneered. Yi Mo, filing a lawsuit can be time-consuming. I can give you a chance to settle out of court, so we can both save a lot of time, Song Jia said. Reconciliation. Wait a moment, bring your lawyer and see you in the city center. Song Jia reported an address and hung up. Okay. Just go meet her. Yi Mo snorted coldly and dialed Fu Siwei's phone. Half an hour later, there was a CAFA in the city center. Yi Mo pushed the door open and walked in. He's here. In the corner of the CAFA, Song Jia lifted her eyes and looked at the man who walked in, with a hint of sarcasm on her lips. Still dressed in poverty, it seems like I haven't caught up with that rich woman yet. That's right. Which rich woman really admires him, isn't it all for fun? My spirit is still a bit sluggish, it must be because I was fired. She went to NetEase to inquire, but Yi Mo is no longer there. She also heard some rumors that were very absurd, saying that Yi Mo was a hidden billionaire. She naturally didn't believe such rumors. Where's your lawyer? As Yi Mo approached, she said coldly. We'll be there soon. Yi Mo sat down. He glanced at Song Jia and saw that she was still the same as before. She was dressed very delicately, fashionable, and had the unique beauty of urban girls. I haven't slept well these days, have I? Song Jia also looked at him and sneered. I really haven't slept well. Yi Mo nodded. Song Jia sneered, his sharp chin slightly raised, and his expression was somewhat proud. Hello Mr. Yi, I am Ms. Song's representative lawyer, LV Qingkai. At this moment, the middle-aged man beside him spoke out. He is dressed in a suit and leather shoes, wearing a pair of black-framed glasses, and looks like an elite. Yi Mo glanced at him and nodded slightly. LV Qingkai smiled with a relaxed expression. This lawsuit is very simple. This person surnamed Yi doesn't seem to have much money at first glance. He was emptied of 300,000 yuan and even took out a mortgage. He can't afford to hire any good lawyer, probably just some cheap and useless stuff. He is an elite among lawyers, and even if he really goes to court, he will still win steadily. Mr. Yi, I advise you to reconcile and withdraw the indictment. This will not only protect Miss Song's reputation but also benefit you. We can compensate you with some money appropriately. LV Qingkai smiled and said. Reputation. Upon hearing this, Yi Mo smiled. What other reputation does this woman have? Mr. Yi, don't rush to refuse yet, think carefully, LV Qingkai said. I believe that when your lawyer comes, he will also suggest that you do so. After speaking, he picked up the coffee in front of him and took a small sip, with a calm and composed demeanor as if he was ready to take action. Yi Mo remained silent, just looking down at time. About 10 minutes later, the door of the CAFA was pushed open and a beautiful figure walked in. With an exceptionally tall figure, wrapped in professional attire, the body curve presents a standard S-dot shape, exquisite and graceful. Under the buttocks skirt, there were a pair of exceptionally slender legs wrapped in black stockings, which were extremely tempting. A stunning face, adorned with light makeup, exudes even more radiance and radiance. As soon as she appeared, the store's gaze was drawn away, and many people were stunned. LV Qingkai held his coffee and was also stunned. Then, I couldn't help but swallow my saliva. On the side, Song Jia looked up and frowned, with a hint of jealousy flashing in his eyes. She had to admit that this woman was 100 times more dazzling than her. Fu. Lawyer Fu. LV Qingkai suddenly shouted. He recognized it, isn't this lawyer Fu from a gold medal law firm? Although he is a newcomer, his reputation has long spread throughout the legal industry due to his beautiful appearance. Is she your lawyer? He glanced at Yi Mo. Lawyer Fu's appearance here is definitely not a coincidence. It's okay. He's just a newcomer. He breathed a sigh of relief. Although this lawyer is famous, his qualifications are too shallow. But at that moment, his eyes fixed and he caught a glimpse of someone walking in at the door. He was a man in his 50s, dressed in a straight suit, with a calm and serious expression and a strong aura. Liu Qingkai was stunned and his eyes suddenly widened. Isn't this the top expert of a gold medal law firm, Lawyer Su? How could this be possible? This is a great Buddha. The face of a gold medal law firm is also a well-known figure in the entire legal industry, having fought many famous lawsuits. A top lawyer like this has a high value and is unlikely to take on typical lawsuits. How could such a character appear here to face such a small dowry lawsuit? Just as his mind was shaken, an even more incredible scene appeared. Behind Lawyer Su, several others walked in, each with a strong presence. Liu Qingcai's eyes were about to burst, and his mind was already shocked to the extreme. Boss! All the big shots. How could so many big shots appear here at the same time? They're not all here for this lawsuit, are they? This is too absurd. This is clearly a small dowry dispute, only 300,000 yuan, and this person's surname Ji, who is just an ordinary white-collar worker, how could he possibly disturb so many big shots? As he watched the pedestrian walk straight towards him, his mind gradually sank and there was no more chance. These big shots are here for this lawsuit. What kind of person is this surname Ji? What kind of background does he have to hire so many big shots? Looking at the group of approaching big shots, and then looking at the still calm and composed young man in front of him, LV Qingcai's heart trembled and his expression became extremely anxious. He knows that things are not going well. End of this chapter. Chapter 10. Song Jia's Shock. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 10 Song Jia's Shock. There are quite a few people. Song Jia looked at the approaching group and sneered loudly. Mo, don't think there are too many people, I'm afraid. Lawyer LV is a master. Lawyer LV, right. As she spoke, she turned to look at LV Qingcai. Liu Qingcai had lost his previous composure and now his face was pale, his hands holding coffee trembling slightly. Lawyer LV, what's wrong with you? Song Jia was stunned and puzzled. So it's Xiaolu. The pedestrian approached and one of the men chuckled and called out. LV Qingcai's hands trembled again, and his face became increasingly pale. Song Jia's face changed. She is not foolish. From the expression of Xiao LV and Lawyer LV, she can tell some clues. Are these people? She asked in a low voice. Miss Song, these people are all big lawyers from gold medal law firms. They are all my seniors, with higher levels of expertise and wider networks than me. Lawyer LV lowered his head and whispered, looking extremely embarrassed. How could this be possible? Song Jia was stunned and looked incredulous. With just Yimo's little money, how could he afford to hire so many lawyers? These lawyers, their fees are not ordinary high. Lawyer LV smiled bitterly and said to himself, I'm also puzzled. Mr. Yi. Hello. These lawyers walked up to Yi Mo, shook hands warmly, and greeted him. This scene fell in the eyes of Lawyer LV, which made him feel even more unbelievable. Such a warm and polite attitude indicates that this person's surname Ji is definitely not simple. He is definitely not a small white-collar worker, but rather someone with a great background. Miss Song, hello. I am Mr. Ye's personal lawyer. I am responsible for this lawsuit. Fu Siwei pulled open the chair, sat down, and smiled. Private lawyer. Song Jia was taken aback. Can this person's surname Ji afford to hire a private lawyer? LV Qingcai was also stunned for a moment and asked, since Lawyer Fu is in charge of this lawsuit, why are you here too? Haha. Mr. Yi is a top client of our gold medal law firm, and we are worried that Mr. Fu may not have enough experience to handle this lawsuit well. Of course, we need to take a look and help out. Lawyer Su laughed. Upon hearing this, LV Chingsai's face stiffened, and he swallowed his saliva with difficulty. Top customers. It seems that this person surnamed Yi is really not an ordinary person. He is certain to lose this lawsuit. Alright, let's get down to business. I heard you want to reconcile. Lawyer Su restrained his smile and his gaze instantly became sharp. That's right. If you withdraw the lawsuit, I can compensate you with tens of thousands of yuan, that's my bottom line. Song Jia shouted. Jokes. Lawyer Su pushed his eyes and sneered, Ms. Song, do you really think you can win this lawsuit in court? I tell you, this is delusion. If you don't believe it, ask lawyer LV next to you. I can offer you a condition for reconciliation. You not only need to refund the full 300,000 yuan dowry, but also compensate our party for their mental damages. What? Song Jia stood up in anger and screamed, why do I have to pay for any bullshit mental damage? These remarks are all from your hands, Ms. Song. With these things, I can sue you for defamation and reputation damage. Lawyer Su opened his briefcase and took out a stack of documents. Song Jia took it and his face instantly turned pale. These are all rumors she fabricated. Well. That's not enough, is it? She looked at Lawyer LV beside her, her tone trembling a bit. Lawyer LV brought it over, glanced at it, and sighed dejectedly. Upon seeing this, Song Jia's figure trembled and he sat down with a thud, his face full of despair. What should we do then? She murmured with a hint of crying in her tone. Miss Song, I suggest you refund these money. We can't win this lawsuit, Lawyer LV shook his head dejectedly. If the other party were a newcomer, a poor third-rate lawyer, he still had a chance of winning, but now he is facing a group of big shots and has no chance of winning at all. But I don't have money. Song Jia's face had turned pale. We have already proposed the conditions, whether you agree or not depends on how you choose. You still have a few days left, you can consider it slowly. Lawyer Su finished speaking and stood up, Mr. Yi, I think we should go now. Yi Mo nodded and stood up. The group turned around and walked out, chatting and laughing, leaving Song Jia and LV Qingkai sitting in the same place with extremely ugly faces. Didn't you say that he's just a poor loser? That's right. Don't joke. If he doesn't have money, those old folks would be so respectful and polite to him. He specifies whether he's a wealthy person or someone super rich. Upon hearing this, Song Jia was taken aback. But she remembered the rumors she had heard on NetEase before. They all said that Yi Mo was a hidden billionaire. Is this all true? Thinking about it, she was momentarily stunned and regretful in her heart. Mr. Yi, goodbye. After leaving the CAFA, Lawyer Su and others bid farewell and left, leaving Fu Siwei alone. At this moment, Yi Mo looked at her carefully and noticed her change. She didn't wear those gold-framed glasses and even dressed up carefully, with a somewhat charming makeup. Does it look good? Noticing his gaze, Fu Siwei slightly straightened her chest and smiled. Of course it looks good. Yi Mo nodded. Compared to the national goddess Su Yuqing, the beauty of Fu Da's school flower is only slightly inferior. Any internet celebrity idol pales in front of her. Fu Siwei pursed her lips and smiled somewhat smugly. So why don't you treat me to a meal? Yes. Yes. Yi Mo hurriedly said. Did you do this? It's amazing. During dinner, when talking about work, Yi Mo told her about making short videos and even showed her how to watch them. Fu Siwei looked amazed and unbelievable. She couldn't believe it at all. This was done by Yi Mo, and the craftsmanship in this video was completely top-notch. I just started working on it, and there will be more works in the future. Amazing. Amazing. Fu Siwei repeatedly praised. After dinner, Yi Mo drove her home. Go up and sit down. Downstairs, Fu Siwei got out of the car and made an invitation. Yi Mo nodded. She just went shopping and bought something, but she still wanted him to deliver it. Her home is on the 7th floor, which is a rented house with 2 bedrooms and 1 living room. She lives alone and is decorated very warmly, clean and tidy. Feel free to sit down. She entered the room, put down the things in her hand, and then changed into high heels. Then, he sat down on the sofa and breathed a long sigh of relief. I'm exhausted. She grumbled, rubbed a pair of jade feet, and then in front of Yi Mo, removed the black silk from her legs, revealing a pair of straight, snow-white and smooth jade legs. End of this chapter.